this wild and pretty ridiculous pair of $20 Yeezy slippers actually worth it? Or is it total garbage? Let's find out. Alright, let's get the obvious out of the way. Kanye West has said some insane stuff, none of which I agree with. So we're not even going to dive into the man himself because in this situation we're purely reviewing a pair of shoes that he was somewhat involved in creating. I genuinely don't know how involved he was, if it was purely a designer that he worked with, or maybe he went on Alibaba and found a pair of shoes that looked like this and just slapped his name on them in some way. Who knows? But either way, it's here, the $20 pair of Yeezys. Now we've already had another $20 pair of Yeezys. These are the Yeezy Pod shoes. This is a pair of shoes that I actually paid $180 for. Apparently I was supposed to get a refund. I emailed for it. Maybe he saw my video and was like, nope, you're not getting a refund. So I ended up paying a lot of money for this shoe. However, you could for a while buy this shoe for $20. And what's interesting about this whole $20 Yeezy pricing model that he has going on is that he's trying to make good on a promise that he made years ago when he said that he wants Yeezys on the feet of everybody. And that's a lot easier to do when a shoe costs $20 versus when a shoe retails for like $250 or $350. So generally that seems to be what he's doing, trying to create shoes that are not only cheap and wearable but also hopefully good looking and hopefully comfortable. And in the case of the Yeezy Pod shoes, I didn't think they were any of those things, but they were different. So that's good, I guess. However, it looks like with the Yeezy SL-01s or the Yeezy slippers, he's doing something a bit more traditional. Although it's hard to say something like this is actually traditional because this is a very, very different kind of shoe. And I've actually been wearing this pair for the last couple days exclusively to find out whether the Yeezy SL-01 is actually a good shoe. But why don't we rewind things back to when I first got this shoe in the mail and when I first tried it on. So this is it, the latest Yeezy. A shoe that cost 20 bucks and looks like it came from, I don't know, TikTok shop? I didn't know what to expect because the last time I bought a pair of shoes from Kanye West it was supposed to cost around $20. It did come in a package like this, except it came with a bag. This one really does feel like it's straight up just the shoes inside the bag. And the packaging obviously does leave a lot to be desired, but hey, you know, can't judge a shoe by its packaging. So let's cut this guy open, see what we've got. Hopefully, it is the shoes that I ordered. Now it has been like 6.5 weeks, I think, since I ordered these. It's been a really, really long time. Oh, there is a bag, okay. Looks like we've got a black dust bag. So I guess it's pretty similar to what we have with the Yeezy Pods. It's not too far off course there. Let's slide open this drawstring. All right, without further ado, let's see these brand new Yeezys. Not too far from what I expected. To be honest with you. There's no branding whatsoever on these. There's a size 10. Unfortunately, it was only like size 8, size 10. It was like every other size that they had available. So this is definitely gonna be too big for me. I'm a size 9. I did buy a size 8, but it looks like the size 10 came in first. These are pretty similar to, I've got these Way of Wades, these 3D printed Way of Wades in terms of like form factor. These are pretty similar. These are called the Moon Rocks because they look like rocks. And these are just the new Yeezy slippers. I'm not sure. I think they're called the slippers, right? But I'm really excited to try these on, see how they fit, see if they feel good or if they really feel like a $20 piece of foam on your foot, which is probably exactly what they feel like. But let's find out. Let's throw them on foot right now and see what we get. All right, so here I have one of the weirdest shoes I think I've ever reviewed on the channel. So let me throw these guys on, see how they feel, see how they fit. I have a bad feeling they're not gonna fit at all because I had to grab a size 10, so good chance they don't fit, which means sizing advice is gonna be a little funky for this one, but it is what it is. Let's find out. Interesting. So they definitely don't fit. Like you definitely need to go with your true size. I'm sure when I film B-roll, you'll be able to see like just all this room behind my heel just because it's a big size 10. My guess is that even if you are a size 10, you probably still, it wouldn't have hurt to gone down to a size 9. Unfortunately, there is no size 9, so I think a size 8, whenever my size 8 comes in, will be a good fit. In terms of comfort, there's more cushion underneath my feet than I would have thought. It's not like a lot, but it's kind of like a pair of slides. It actually feels exactly like a pair of slides. Less cushiony than a pair of Yeezy foams or Yeezy slides. It's not bad. I actually don't hate the way it looks. I mean, it's a little simple, not a lot going on. Kind of looks like you've got a, kind of reminds me a lot of the Fear of Gods, actually. More sculpted. Like this feels more like a clay thing on your foot, or looks like a clay thing on your foot. Those are more like they've got edges and speed lines and things like that. I don't know. They're not bad. Could I wear them all day? I guess we'll find out. So like a lot of Yeezys post Adidas, this shoe went up for pre-sale on Kanye's website like 6 to 8 weeks ago. And seriously, this shoe was $20. I mean, after shipping it was more like $36, but that's not a bad price. And because Shopify took down shop.yeezy.com, you can't even buy these shoes anymore. The only way to get them is through resale sites. And surprisingly, these are actually reselling. Not for a lot, but they are reselling for over retail. Actually, getting back to Shopify taking down the web store, because they did that, I wasn't sure if I was going to get these. Now, I ordered these, like I said, 6 to 8 weeks ago. I don't even remember how long ago it was. It was a minute. To be fair, if I didn't get them, it's not like I'd be losing hundreds of dollars, but $36 is still $36. I'm glad that I actually got the shoes in hand. And the way that they showed up was actually pretty mysterious as well. They showed up in a random car from a shipping company I'd never heard of in a plastic bag. It was kind of wild, but hey, they're here now, and I guess it's time to officially review them. Again, I feel like I've got to say it. I don't agree with anything that Kanye says. I'm purely reviewing these shoes because they're interesting. They're different. They're a $20 pair of Yeezy shoes. Like, that's not something you see a lot of. And as someone who reviews sneakers for a living, I feel like, yeah, I probably should review this. But I guess with that being said, let's just dive into it. And the first thing I want to talk about is sizing, because that's going to be a big problem for a lot of people, especially because they only released every other size. Some shoe companies, when they drop a new model that they're not sure about, they'll only release like full sizes and not half sizes. In the case of this shoe, they only released every other size. So for me as a size 9, there was no size 9s. It was a size 8, a size 10, a size 12, and so on. It just didn't make sense to me. So I had to buy, well, honestly, I bought one of each. I bought a size 10 in the black one, and then a size, I think, 8 in the gray one, which I don't know when that one's showing up, if it ever shows up. But because of that, sizing is insane on this shoe. I guess my only recommendation would be to go down a size if you're one of the sizes that somehow is in the middle. So again, like I said earlier, I think for me a size 8 would probably have been the way to go, but I didn't know. This size 10 is ridiculously large for my foot. I mean, I've tried on size 10s before and they don't feel this wide. So because of that, I can only assume that this shoe fits big, which kind of sucks for a pair of clogs or mules that you can't adjust the sizing for. Like, there's no laces, there's no way to make the shoe a little bit smaller. This is what you get. So sizing was just a huge miss on this shoe. I was really unhappy with it. I feel like the reason that they only did every other size is because it was probably expensive to manufacture these or something. Maybe they're not making any money on these. I don't know. It sucked. Sizing was awful. Maybe it's great for someone who's actually a size 10 or a size 8. I don't know, but I can only assume that it's not. Another thing I didn't love about this shoe is that it's very flat. There is no arch support inside this shoe whatsoever. Like, you are really just on this flat foam surface. I mean, even looking at the Yeezy slides, there's more of an arch in the Yeezy slides than there is in the SL-1s, which, by the way, look at that size difference. A size 10 shouldn't be this big. Surprisingly though, even though there was no arch support whatsoever, it wasn't a terribly uncomfortable shoe. It felt a lot like a pair of Yeezy foam runners or even a pair of Yeezy slides. Significantly thinner underfoot than a pair of Yeezy slides, but still, that's gonna be kind of hard for me to show you how thick it is underfoot. There's not really a good way to do this because there's foam on top. It's kind of that's not a good way to show it. The Yeezy slide is probably about that thick foam underneath your foot, which is about 30 centimeters of foam underneath your foot, which is a lot of foam. Feels great. It's also a slightly softer foam than the Yeezy slippers. Is there a way that I can just like cut this? This has got more of like a 25-ish? No, that doesn't seem right. Let's just cut this guy open. I've worn this shoe for the last couple days. It was fine, but I didn't like it enough to actually keep it, so I'm gonna cut this guy open. Let's see how much foam we're actually working with here. I do not know if this is the right way to do this. I've never cut a shoe open. I'm not like Roseanneville or Foot Dr. Zach who know what they're doing. I'm just gonna go for it. This is probably a mistake. Is everything recording? I only have one shot at this. I'm doing a terrible job already. This is surprisingly difficult to cut. Can I rip it all the way down? That would be useful. I'm not using the correct cutting tool for this, I don't think. There we go. Let's go. It is thicker towards the back, I will say that. Look at that. There we go. We did it. That's actually about as much foam underfoot as I was thinking. Okay, so towards the forefoot, you've got about 10 millimeters, maybe slightly less. And then as you move back towards the heel, the thickest area of the heel, you've got, including the tread, by the way, you've got about 25. So actually thicker than I thought. Now again, the Yeezy slides about 35, including the tread. And then comparing them to the Yeezy foam runners right here, which I'm not gonna cut open, but there is an area that you can actually basically get the calipers right in there and it's still on the footbed of the shoe. About 30 millimeters of foam thickness. So okay, in terms of foam thickness, it goes Yeezy slide, foam runner, then the Yeezy slipper. One thing I do want to mention though is that the Yeezy slippers do feel stiffer than both the Yeezy slides and the Yeezy foam runners. Like not significantly, but definitely stiffer underfoot. So this is not going to be as comfortable, probably because it's cheaper foam, I would guess. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But it doesn't feel like the exact same foam, although the texture on the outside of the shoe looks very, very similar. So overall comfort, not bad, but it's kind of like a regular pair of slides. Now, if you don't like having foam all over the top of your foot, you're not gonna like this. It's not like a pair of Yeezy foam runners that has holes all the way through. It's not the most breathable shoe in the world, although the ankle opening is pretty large, so you are gonna get some airflow. And it's also a shoe that fits pretty low on your foot, which is kind of odd. But yeah, comfort, not bad, more comfortable than some of the other shoes in my collection, but it's not groundbreaking comfort, and it's definitely not as soft as the Yeezy slides or the Yeezy foam runners. But now let's talk about how this shoe looks and whether people actually like it. And so to do that, I met up with some of my friends from the Soul Table podcast to find out what their thoughts are. So what do you guys think of the new $20 Yeezy slipper, the SL-1s? Good, bad, honest feedback, any feedback you have.
They look like Homer Simpson shoes.
Oh my God. Yes. Because they're so smooth, there's nothing to them.
They also look like Ken doll shoes because they would
You just slip them on.
Yeah, like the little Barbie shoes. And,
Yes.
And I'm not against these.
Damn, it's giving not Polly Pocket.
But
I'm not a fan.
She's not.
I'm
But
not a fan.
I feel like you can erase any classroom board in a minute in these Jones.
Yo, get him out of here. I'm not a fan. Like, it's just nothing to it.
Nah, it's nothing to it.
It's nothing to it.
I feel like his inspiration was a hoagie roll.
Amoroso. You gotta keep it South Philly. Keep it
Amoroso?
Yeah.
Amoroso.
This does not look comfortable.
Honestly, I'm gonna be real. When he came in, I was like, got water shoes?
There's no support. It's flat as hell.
I'm getting a cheesesteak
Yeah.
after this.
I'm not a
1,000%.
fan.
You said you hungry.
That's a fact.
We getting you a cheesesteak.
But yeah, I'm not a fan.
So even for $20 you wouldn't buy them?
No.
Guys, check out the Soul Table podcast on YouTube. I'll be honest, I don't hate it. I think with a long pair of pants, it looks okay. Is it the most fashion-forward shoe in the world? Maybe. I mean, I'm not very fashion-forward, but I mean, hey, I get it if you think that this is kind of a vibe. I don't know. But it's not for me personally. I don't like the way that it looks. I think that it is very minimal, and if you're into that, great. In fact, it's so minimal that there is no Yeezy branding anywhere on this shoe, which is another reason why I'm kind of like, okay, is this a pair of Yeezys, or did he buy these off Alibaba and just ship them to people? The only actual information that's on the shoe is the size on the bottom of the shoe right there on the traction. That's literally it. There's nothing on the bag except for a sticker that has a size. Oh, and there is a tag. What does it say? It says made in China, obviously. Oh, it says SL-01. Okay, so there is actually some branding, the SL-01. It says upper, other materials, lining, sock, other materials, outsole, other materials. They didn't spec any of the materials on this. They just said other materials. Look at that tag. What is that? Other materials? I mean, it's foam. You could have just said foam. I will say, though, the one thing it has going for it is the price. $20 is not terrible for a pair of shoes like this. Now, to be fair, you probably go to Walmart and find something like this for cheaper than that. You could also go to Alibaba if you're willing to probably buy 1,000 of these and get them for like a couple cents a pair. But if you want a specifically Yeezy pair, here you go, 20 bucks. Don't think you can buy them anymore. I think resale is like, well, you can check out through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. I'm not sure what the resale is currently. Traction, as you can see, is sort of your Yeezy triangles that I guess do something. You do have the injection point right there, which is how they molded the shoe. They injected all the foam through the mold in this little point right here and then cut it off because there's obviously some excess material hanging out when you're done. It's very, very simple. It's about as minimal as you can get. And if you're into that, hey, maybe grab a pair for resale. I didn't notice that when I was looking at the shoe before, but there's 9 dots on the inside. Can you guys see those? Can you guys see those 9 dots? I wonder what those mean. There you have it. The Yeezy SL-01. Is this shoe worth $20? Honestly, I kind of think so. I think for $20, you're getting, I'd say your money's worth. Is it something that I'm ever going to wear again? Well, obviously I can't. But is it something I would ever wear again? Probably not. But hey, if you need a pair of shoes, you're willing to wait 6 to 8 weeks, and you want something that's foam, that's kind of comfortable, there you go. Can't buy it anymore, but there you go. Let me know your thoughts on the Yeezy SL-01 in the comment section down below. What do you think about this very minimal piece of footwear? I understand what he was trying to do with it design-wise. I think, sure, there can be a case made that it is very futuristic and very different and very interesting in that regard. But overall, it's not something for me. That said, it's a $20 pair of shoes, and for $20, it's easy to look past some of the faults, like the overall comfort, the sizing, which is a pretty hard one to look past, but the sizing is a big one, and also the nondescript packaging and shipping service that dropped these off. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.